There is something I need to tell you, and I believe with everything in me that you were meant to find these words today. Not by accident, not by chance, but because somewhere in the quiet chambers of eternity, your name was spoken, and a divine hand moved to bring you here to this moment, to these words that have been waiting for you. I know you almost kept scrolling. I know part of you hesitated, uncertain whether to give your time to one more message, one more voice in the endless noise of your days. But you stopped. You are here, and that matters more than you realize. Can I tell you what I see when I look at your life right now? Not with judgment, never with judgment, but with the kind of knowing that comes from having walked through my own valleys, my own nights that felt too long to survive. I see you in the morning before anyone else wakes. I see you sitting with your coffee growing cold, staring at nothing in particular, feeling the weight of everything pressing against your chest. The bills, the silence where conversation used to be, the dreams you have stopped mentioning because saying them out loud makes the distance between here and there feel unbearable. I see you at 3 a.m. when sleep refuses to come and your mind replays every mistake, every missed opportunity, every word you wish you could take back. I see the calculations you run in your head, trying to make numbers work that simply will not add up. The phone calls you dread, the emails you cannot bring yourself to open. I see you pretending, smiling when someone asks how you are doing, saying I am fine with a voice that has learned to lie convincingly, hiding the cracks because you are afraid if anyone saw how broken things really are, they would walk away too. But here is what I need you to know, what I traveled through my own darkness to discover. You are seen, truly seen. Not by distant, disinterested eyes, but by a presence that has been collecting your tears, counting your sleepless nights, witnessing every moment you thought you were completely alone. If this resonates with something deep in your spirit, would you leave a simple "I hear this" in the comments? Not because I need to know, but because there is something powerful that happens when we acknowledge truth out loud. When we stop hiding and start admitting, yes, this is where I am. Yes, I need something to change. Let me share something with you. 3 years ago, I sat exactly where you might be sitting now. I remember the night everything felt like it was collapsing. My marriage was unraveling. My business had failed. I had just opened a letter from the bank that made my hands shake so hard I could barely read the words. I remember sitting in my car in the parking lot of a grocery store, unable to go inside because I knew I couldn't afford what my family needed. I remember the shame of that moment, hot and suffocating. The feeling that I had failed at the most basic responsibility of providing for the people I loved. And I remember the prayer I whispered into that dark car, a prayer that was more desperation than faith. If you are real, if you see me, I need you to show up because I have nothing left. I didn't hear thunder. I didn't see lightning, but I felt something. A warmth that started in my chest and spread through my whole body. Not an answer to all my questions, but a presence that whispered, "You are going to be okay." Not because everything will magically fix itself, but because you are not alone in this. That was the beginning. Not of everything suddenly working out, but of learning to recognize the voice that had been speaking all along. In the silence I had mistaken for absence. I am telling you this because I want you to know I am not speaking from a place of theory or distant observation. I am speaking from the trenches, from the midnight hours, from the place where faith and desperation meet and sometimes become the same thing. And from that place I can tell you this with absolute certainty: the struggle you are in right now is not the end of your story. It is not even the middle. It is the chapter before the breakthrough, the season before the harvest, the night before the dawn that is already being prepared. You have been praying for things to change, I know you have. You have whispered it in the car, in the shower, in the quiet moments when you let your guard down. And maybe you have started to wonder if anyone is listening. Maybe you have begun to believe that your prayers hit some cosmic ceiling and fall back down, unanswered and unheard. But what if I told you that every single prayer, every whispered plea, every desperate cry has been heard? Not just heard, but recorded, witnessed, held in hands that refuse to let them fall. What if the delay you have been experiencing isn't rejection, but preparation? Not absence, but a divine pause, creating space for something so much better than what you have been asking for, that you couldn't even imagine it yet. I know that might be hard to believe right now, When you are exhausted from trying, from hoping, from holding on, it is difficult to trust that there is a purpose in the waiting. But I have learned something in my own journey that changed everything. God's timing is rarely our timing, but it is always perfect. If you are feeling something shift in your heart as you read this, if there is a gentle stirring that says, yes, this is for me, would you take a moment and write, I am ready in the comments. There is something significant about that simple declaration. It is not magic, but it is powerful. It is you saying to yourself, to the universe, to the divine presence that sees you, I am opening my hands. I am releasing my grip on how I thought things should go. I am ready for something new. Let me tell you what has been happening in the unseen places while you have been struggling in the visible ones. While you have been fighting to make ends meet, heaven has been preparing provision. While you have been wrestling with relationships that feel broken beyond repair, divine hands have been working on hearts, softening what was hardened, opening what was closed. While you have been lying awake wondering if you will ever feel whole again, healing has been making its way toward you through dimensions you cannot see with physical eyes. I am not speaking in metaphors. I am talking about real things, tangible things. Things that are about to manifest in your life in ways you will recognize as more than coincidence, more than luck, more than random chance. But here is what I need you to understand. There is a gap between when something is released in the spiritual realm and when it becomes visible in the physical world. This gap is sacred. It is necessary, and it is where most people lose what was already theirs. In this gap, nothing looks different yet. Your bank account shows the same numbers. The relationship feels just as distant. The situation appears unchanged. And this is when doubt whispers its poison. See? Nothing happened. You were foolish to hope. It was all just pretty words. But I am here to tell you, with every fiber of my being, do not trust only what you can see in the gap. Do not measure divine faithfulness by physical evidence alone, because in the invisible realm, everything has already shifted. The doors have already been unlocked. The provision has already been released. The healing has already been set in motion. Your job in the gap is not to see, but to trust. Not to understand, but to remain open. Not to force, but to receive. I remember my own gap. It lasted 6 months after that night in the parking lot. 6 months when nothing visible changed, but everything internal was being transformed. 6 months when I had to choose every single day whether to trust the whisper I had heard in my darkness or to believe the evidence of my circumstances. And then, on an ordinary Tuesday morning, everything began to shift. An email arrived from someone I hadn't heard from in 5 years, offering exactly what I needed. A conversation happened that opened a door I didn't even know existed. A check came in the mail that made no logical sense but solved an immediate crisis. One by one, the dominoes began to fall, not slowly, but with gathering momentum. Within 3 weeks, every area that had felt stuck suddenly started moving. Within 3 months, I couldn't recognize my life, not because I had worked harder or figured it all out, but because I had learned to stay open in the gap, to trust in the unseen, to believe that what was promised was already on its way. That is the same shift that is available to you right now. Not someday, not eventually, now. But you have to participate in your own breakthrough. You have to do something that feels small but is actually monumental. You have to decide to believe before you see. Would you do something for me? Would you hit the like button on this video? Not because it helps some algorithm, but because it is an act of agreement. It is you saying, yes, I choose to believe. Yes, I am opening myself to receiving. Yes, I am willing to trust even when I cannot yet see. That simple action creates a shift. I have watched it happen in my own life, and in the lives of countless others who have walked this path. The moment you move from passive hoping to active participation, something changes in the spiritual atmosphere around you. Now, let me speak to the specific pain you might be carrying, because I know there are different struggles represented here, different stories, different wounds, but they all share something in common. The feeling that you are somehow failing, somehow not enough, somehow unworthy of the breakthrough you desire. Maybe your struggle is financial. You have worked hard. You have tried to do everything right, but the money just keeps slipping through your fingers. unexpected expenses, lost opportunities, doors that seemed promising but closed in your face, and the weight of it is crushing. The shame of it keeps you awake. The fear of it steals your peace. If that is you, I need you to hear this. Your worth is not measured by your bank account. Your value doesn't rise and fall with your financial circumstances. And the lack you are experiencing right now is not a reflection of your character or your deservingness. You are on the edge of a financial breakthrough that has nothing to do with your hustle and everything to do with divine provision meeting your need. I am talking about money showing up from sources that make no natural sense. Debts being forgiven that shouldn't be forgiven. Opportunities appearing that you never applied for. Provision flowing from directions you weren't even watching. Within this month, you are going to see evidence of what I am declaring. Watch for it. Expect it. Thank heaven for it in advance. Maybe your struggle is relational. The person you loved walked away, and the absence of them echoes through every room of your life. Or maybe you are still together physically, but the distance between you has grown so vast that you might as well be strangers. Maybe it is your children, and the relationship that used to be easy has become complicated, painful, filled with words you cannot unsay and hurts you don't know how to heal. If that is your pain, listen carefully. You are not destined to live in this relational desert forever. What feels dead is not dead. What seems impossible to repair is already being worked on by hands far more skilled than yours. Restoration is coming, not because you have earned it or deserve it, but because love is stronger than every wound, and divine grace specializes in resurrecting what we thought was beyond saving. You are going to have conversations you never thought would happen. You are going to feel connection where there was only distance. You are going to watch hearts soften that you thought were hardened forever. And when it happens, you will remember this moment. You will remember these words. Maybe your struggle is health. Your body has betrayed you. The diagnosis sits like a stone in your stomach. The symptoms whisper fear into every moment. The treatments drain you, and the uncertainty of it all feels heavier than the physical pain. If this is your battle, hear me. Your healing has already been secured, not as wishful thinking, but as spiritual reality that is making its way into physical manifestation. Your cells are being renewed. Your strength is being restored. Your body is remembering how to be whole. I am not telling you to ignore medical wisdom or abandon treatment. I am telling you that there is a dimension of healing that transcends medicine, that works in cooperation with it, that brings restoration in ways doctors call miracles because they have no other language for what happens when heaven touches earth. Maybe your struggle is purpose. You feel lost, directionless. Like everyone else has a map and you are wandering in fog. You have tried different paths, different pursuits, but nothing feels right. And underneath it all is a gnawing fear that maybe you don't have a purpose, that maybe you are just meant to drift, to survive, to watch others live the significant lives you long for. If that is the ache in your chest, I need you to know this. Your purpose has not been lost. It has been waiting, gestating, preparing for the moment when you would be ready to step into it. Everything you have been through, every detour you have taken, every failure you have experienced, has been building something in you that the easy path could never create. You are being prepared for an assignment that is specific to you, designed around your unique combination of gifts and wounds and passions. And very soon the fog is going to lift. The path is going to become clear, and you are going to step forward with a certainty you have never felt before. Type in the comments what area of your life most needs breakthrough right now. Be specific. Name it. Not because I need to know, but because there is power in identifying what you are actually asking for. Vague faith gets vague results. Specific faith receives specific miracles. Right. I need breakthrough in my finances, or I need restoration in my marriage, or I need healing in my body, or I need clarity about my purpose. Whatever it is, declare it, because when you speak it, when you name it, when you bring it from the shadows of your private worry into the light of acknowledgement, you activate something. While you are typing that, let me tell you what I see coming for you. I see doors opening, not doors you are going to have to knock on or beg to enter, but doors that swing wide at your approach because the one who holds all keys has already turned the lock. I see provision, not just enough to survive, but enough to breathe, enough to give, Enough to finally stop living in survival mode and start experiencing what it means to thrive. I see relationships healing, conversations happening that bridge years of silence, forgiveness flowing like water that has been dammed up and suddenly breaks through. I see your body responding to a frequency of wellness that transcends diagnosis. Strength returning, pain subsiding, life flowing back into places that felt dead. I see purpose crystallizing, the fog lifting, a path appearing that feels like coming home to yourself after a long journey in foreign lands. But most of all, I see something else, something even more fundamental than any of these external changes. I see you discovering that you were never alone, that every night you lay awake, a presence sat with you, that every tear you cried, hands collected them, that every moment you felt abandoned, you were being held by a love so vast, so patient, so relentless in its pursuit of you that it would move heaven and earth to make sure these words found you today. That is the real breakthrough. Not just the circumstances changing, though they will, but you awakening to a reality that has always been true but that you couldn't quite see before. You are loved, completely, unconditionally, with a love that doesn't keep score or hold grudges or grow weary of your struggles. I know that might sound too simple, too good to be true, especially if you have spent years believing that love is something you have to earn, that acceptance is something you have to perform for, that worthiness is something that can be gained or lost based on your behavior. But that is not how divine love works. That is not how grace operates. You don't earn it. You don't deserve it. You simply receive it again and again. Every morning it is new. Every moment it is available, waiting for you to stop trying so hard and simply open your hands. Let me share another story with you. Someone I know, I will call her Sarah, found this message 6 months ago. She was 3 days away from losing her home. The eviction notice was already posted, her savings were gone, her credit cards were maxed. Her family had already helped as much as they could. She had nowhere left to turn. She watched this video with tears streaming down her face, believing and not believing at the same time, that push-pull of desperate hope mixed with pragmatic doubt. She typed in the comments, "I need a financial miracle within 72 hours." Then she closed her laptop feeling foolish, feeling like she had just added wishful thinking to her growing pile of problems. 2 days later, she received a call, a legal settlement from a car accident 7 years prior that she would completely forgotten about. The insurance company had been trying to reach her for months, but her information was outdated. The settlement amount, exactly $18,000 more than she needed to save her home and clear her immediate debts. I am not telling you this story to guarantee you will have the exact same experience. I am telling you because I want you to know, miracles are not myth. Divine intervention is not fairy tale, and the breakthrough you need is not beyond the reach of a God who specializes in impossible situations. Or consider Michael. He wrote in the comments that he needed restoration in his marriage. They had been sleeping in separate rooms for 2 years. Divorce papers were drafted but not yet signed. They were two strangers sharing a house, coexisting but not living, present but not connected. He didn't tell his wife about this message. He just quietly began to shift something inside himself, not trying to change her, not forcing anything, just opening himself to the possibility that what seemed dead could live again. 3 weeks later, on an ordinary evening, she came to his room and asked if they could talk, really talk. For the first time in years, they spoke truth instead of accusations, vulnerability instead of defense. And in that conversation, something that had been frozen began to thaw. 6 months later, they renewed their vows, not because the problems magically disappeared, but because they had found their way back to each other through grace. They couldn't explain and didn't try to. These stories are not exceptions. They are examples of what becomes possible when we stop insisting on understanding everything and start trusting that we are seen, known, and held by something larger than our circumstances. Now, I want to speak to something specific that might be happening in your heart right now. You might be feeling two things simultaneously, hope and skepticism. A part of you wants to believe what you are reading, feels something resonating deep in your spirit. But another part, the part that has been disappointed before, is whispering, "This is too good to be true. Don't get your hopes up. you will just be hurt again. Can I tell you that both of those responses are valid? That it is okay to feel torn? That you don't have to have perfect faith, unwavering confidence, or complete certainty? In fact, some of the most powerful breakthroughs I have witnessed have happened in people who were equal parts belief and doubt, who came to the table with trembling hope, who said, not I am absolutely certain, but I am willing to try. That is all that is required. Not certainty, just willingness. Would you share this video with one person who needs to hear it? Not everyone on your list, not broadcasting it to the world, but one specific person whose face appeared in your mind as you read these words. That person who is struggling in silence. That person who is pretending everything is fine but you know better. That person who needs to hear that they are not alone. That breakthrough is possible, that their story isn't over. When you share this, you become more than a consumer of hope. You become a carrier of it, and there is something that happens when we shift from receiving to giving, even in small ways. It multiplies what we are holding. It expands our capacity. It positions us to receive even more. As you do that, let me tell you what is going to happen in the coming days. You are going to start noticing things, small things. At first, easy to dismiss as coincidence if you are not paying attention. A song with lyrics that speak directly to your situation. A conversation that contains exactly the encouragement you needed. A thought that brings unexpected clarity. An opportunity that appears out of nowhere. These are not random. These are confirmations, signposts, evidence that the unseen realm is intersecting with your visible world, that what was promised is beginning to manifest, that the gap between spiritual release and physical manifestation is closing. Pay attention to these moments, document them, write them down, take photos, save the emails, keep the texts, because you are going to need these reminders, not because the breakthrough will disappear, but because on the hard days when it feels like progress has stalled, you will need evidence that something real happened, that this wasn't just emotion or wishful thinking. And then, somewhere between now and 30 days from now, you are going to experience something unmistakable. Something so clearly beyond coincidence, so perfectly timed, so specifically aligned with what you needed that you will know without question that you were seen, that your prayer was heard, that heaven moved for some of you. It will be financial. An unexpected refund, a job offer that changes everything, a debt forgiven, money from a source you had forgotten about. For others, it will be relational, a text message from someone you had given up on, a conversation that heals years of distance, a softening in someone's heart that you had thought was permanently hardened. For some, it will be health, a symptom that suddenly resolves, a report that comes back better than expected, strength returning in a way that surprises you and your doctors. For others, it will be internal, a peace that settles over you like snow, a joy that bubbles up from nowhere, a confidence about who you are and where you are going that you have never felt before. Whatever form it takes, you will recognize it. And when you do, I want you to come back and testify, not for my benefit, but for the person who will find this message tomorrow or next week or next month, sitting exactly where you are now, desperate for evidence that breakthrough is real. Your story will be their hope. Your miracle will be their faith. Your testimony will be the bridge they need to cross from doubt to trust. Before we close this sacred moment together, I want to pray something over you. Not a formal prayer with fancy language, but words from my heart to yours, from the place where I know struggle, and I know breakthrough, and I know the distance between them. I speak peace over your anxious mind. I speak rest over your weary body. I speak hope over your discouraged heart. I declare that the season of barely surviving is ending, and the season of truly thriving is beginning. I declare that closed doors are opening, and blocked paths are clearing, and what was stuck is starting to move. I declare breakthrough over your finances, supernatural provision that makes no natural sense, abundance where there was lack, overflow where there was barely enough. I declare restoration over your relationships, walls coming down, hearts softening, love flowing where there was only distance. I declare healing over your body cells, renewing, strength returning, wholeness manifesting in every system, every organ, every part of you. I declare clarity over your purpose, fog lifting, path appearing, certainty growing about who you are and what you are called to do. And most of all, I declare that you are seen, known, loved, held, that you have never been alone even in your darkest moments, that you never will be alone even in whatever challenges still come, that there is a presence with you now and always that will never abandon you, never give up on you, never stop pursuing you with relentless, unfailing, inexhaustible love. This is not wishful thinking. This is not empty promise. This is truth, speaking to the deepest part of you that knows, has always known, that you were made for more than mere survival, that you were created for purpose, for joy, for connection, for the kind of life that makes you wake up grateful instead of anxious. That life is not somewhere in the distant future, it is starting now. Today, in this moment when you made the choice to stay, to read, to open yourself to possibility, your breakthrough has begun. Not because you have earned it, not because you are perfect, but because you are loved, because you are seen, because grace is not about deserving, it is about receiving, so receive it now. Open your hands, open your heart, let go of the need to control or understand everything. Trust that you are being guided, even when you cannot see the full path. Trust that you are being provided for, even when the supply isn't visible yet. Trust that you are being healed, even when symptoms remain. Trust that you are being loved, especially when you feel most unlovable. Your story is not over. Your best chapters haven't been written yet. Your greatest joys are still ahead of you. Everything you have been through was preparation. Everything you have survived was training. Everything you have endured was building in you something that the easy life could never create. You are stronger than you know. You are more resilient than you realize. You carry more light than you understand. And that light is about to break through in ways that will surprise you, humble you, and remind you that you were never meant to carry this burden alone. Welcome to your breakthrough. Welcome to your new season. Welcome to the life that has been waiting for you to be ready to receive it. It starts now.